Right now, the temperatures are hot, but the markets here in Sarasota and Florida remain cool. Let's zoom in on some of the local markets right here along the Suncoast to see which areas are hotter than others. What's the latest numbers there, and what areas south of us might be the best areas to get that lowball offer accepted? Stick around and I'll give you my predictions on where the rates and the prices are headed. So join me as I take the temperature of the Sarasota market.
Now, the overall Sarasota area market has been stagnant this summer. It's not crashing, it's slightly dipping, but there certainly has not picked up any steam at all. The lack of affordability on the low end of the market has really kept a large number of buyers just on the fence, looking for either price drops or rate drops. Everybody's anticipating that, or just a combination of both. So this continues to add to the inventory to the market. So the greater numbers of sellers that come on, there's just not enough buyers to take them off. So the inventory continues to rise, and this is causing sellers to price more aggressively, which is smart. And simply, if they don't price aggressively coming out of the gate, they simply don't sell. That's what's happening. So where are the rates heading? Let's take a look.
So for the entire year of 2025, people have been coming to me and saying, hey, I'm not going to buy anything until the rates drop drastically this year. And I've been predicting that they'd hold steady, and they have. Now, this next meeting of the Fed, I'm actually predicting a slight drop, which will probably not really translate into too much as far as the open market rates. We'll see if I'm right here in the next few days. Now remember though, if rates do drop significantly, you will see more buyers jump into the market immediately, and that might hold prices steady, or they might actually go up. Now market rates have been holding steady into a much more narrow range. So this has helped buyers with predictability, and this should make this next quarter the calmest rates have been in quite a while. So what am I predicting for pricing? I still expect to see the local market drop maybe another 2% or so before we see a more even market. So you may want to keep your powder dry, as the investors like to say, or just poke around for the right seller who's willing to accept your offer. Right now, there is plenty of builder inventory, which is definitely providing stiff competition to existing homes right now. And with big builders, they need to keep their crews and support staff humming. So deals will be made. But more importantly, financing incentives will be very aggressive. And as always, we remain the new home experts, so reach out directly for the latest incentives and free upgrades to make sure that you're getting an even better deal than you ever would walking into that new home model alone. So expect a nice amount of inventory, but don't expect a glaring abundance, because some sellers are simply just looking to sit out the rest of this year, and they might pop up at the end of the year or maybe early in January. Remember, folks, our peak season starts in January here on the west coast of Florida. So know the inventory ahead of time to pick out or pick through the best homes. Or even better, eliminate your competition and use our perfect home finder system to find you an off-market home with absolutely zero competition. Find it before anyone else knows that the sellers are even contemplating selling. For more info on that, just give me a call, reach out, text me, email me, or schedule a free Zoom call where we can go over it in detail and focus on your very specific home buying needs and your budget. Now let me address those in the audience who say that the market is gonna crash. Now I've heard that 5 years before the COVID bubble, and I've heard that recently. Now as far as the country in general, and especially this Sarasota market, that's not gonna happen. Take it from someone who was heavily working in wholesale and investment properties when it did crash back in the late 2006 up to 2011 right here in Sarasota. Here's the latest foreclosure map, and as you can see, there's not a single state where rates are over or come close to 1%. Florida is at 0.21%, and our area is even lower due to the tremendous amount of cash deals. Nearly 50% or more of my transactions end up being cash deals. What crashes a market is lack of equity. And due to a tremendous amount of equity in our area, even price drops below sellers' expectations, the equity gap often softens that blow. So conditions are nothing like the crash in 2007 through 2011. So recently, all I hear is people saying nothing is selling. Yes, the market has slowed considerably to previous years, but that to me is a good thing. I always prefer a market trying to find equilibrium between a seller's market and a buyer's market. And people are always telling me, you can't sell a house because of high insurance, or you can't sell a house because of interest rates, or the economy, or whatever the most recent excuse is. But homes are still selling. And as you can see, 8 homes sell every minute in the US. And I just listed a home that sold in 2 days. A great home, and it was priced right. So buyers are out there, but homes must be responsibly priced. Now let's look at the local Sarasota County market compared to Charlotte County, which is just to the south of us, where you can really push that low offer envelope in places like Northport or Port Charlotte. Here is the difference in the amount of months inventory in Sarasota versus Charlotte County. A more equal market might have, say, 7 months of inventory, and as you can see, Charlotte has grown in the last month to nearly double that. So it's definitely a buyer's market. And here's a contrast in the median pricing between the two counties. So you are definitely going to get a lot more affordability there in Charlotte County, but something to think about just in case. But reach out to me so we can discuss the trade-off in the area versus the price. The long and short of it is interest rates are stabilizing or lowering with no big 2% big drops or anything like that. And those of us who are older know that historically we're in a healthy area when it comes to that. Prices are stagnant or slightly dipping, but with no crash expected. We're simply in a more equal market compared to years past, and we're more of a buyer's market right now where buyers have more leverage at the moment. So the rising tide, as they say, raises all boats, and the lowering tide drops all boats. So you'll either lose as a seller and make out better as a buyer, or make out better as a seller and have less leverage as a buyer. Just depends. And if you have something to buy here, you're probably going to get a better deal if you're in a market where it's higher. So it's just something to consider. You can't predict the bottom or the top of the market. You simply make the best choices for your situation at that moment.